Hi, I'm Fred Barrow and I've been building wheel here at Turrino for 10 years. Today we are going to show you an overview of the whole process to build a fully polished wire wheel from scratch. Stage 1. Cutting and shaping the wheel. We start making the rim by cutting the current length from a 5 m thick wall 5000 series aluminium tube using the bandsaw. The sewing process leaves quite a rough edge which needs to be turned on the lathe to ensure the edges are square and most importantly that we get the smooth finish we need. If this is not done, then the tube can split in the next operation as a crack can start from any imperfection. When we have the edge looking good, we can take it over to a 200-ton press to give it its first shape, which is determined by the purpose design plug, which we make specially in our workshop. We have a different tube size and different plug for each rim diameter. This operation is to ensure the tube is gripped by the clamshell tooling, again made by us, so that the spinning operation can be performed. There is one clamshell for each rim size, about 30 in total. Once we make the first press, we can then put it back in a clamshell tool to check the shape and fit. We do this by measuring the distance from the rim to the edge of tool. When happy, we can go ahead and press the other side of the tube. Now the tube has been pressed from both sides and is snug fit. We are now down at Sapphire Spinning Limited in Harlow, and the tooling is mounted on the computer-controlled leaf-fed machine. With the help of some extra heat and lubrication, the tube is now gradually shaped by many passes of the spinning roller. This is done until it takes on the exact form of the tooling on the tire side of the developing rim. When complete, the tooling is unclamped and the tube sent back up to our own machine shop. Stage 2. Fine-tuning the shape. When we get the row spinning back, as you can see here, then they go into the big rim lathe for extract shaping on the inside of the rim, when we also control the thickness at each part. This can vary depending on the application and desired appearance of the rim. Stage 3. Polishing. When the wheel is to have a polish finished, to get the mirror-like shine, the wheel needs to go to our polisher. There are two stages to getting the wheel looking perfect. First, the wheel needs to be sanding with a variety of grit to smooth the metal. We start with a coarser grit and work down to a finer grit. When we are happy with the finish after sanding, we then start the polishing process. It is a similar process to sanding, in that we use a selection of grip mode, starting from a coarser grit working down to a finer grit. This is when the real beauty of the wheel starts to emerge. As you can see, this is not some automatic mechanical process, but actually a case of real craftsmanship, where every single rim is given individual attention. Stage 4. Marking and preparing the wheel. First, the wheels are marked according to the design and pattern of the wheel. There can be different number of rows of spokes depending on the design. The one we are working on here is a 72 spokes wheel with 3 different rows. After the wheel is marked, we need to press in the dimple before we drill the hole for the spokes. The dimple are part spherical and allow the matching spokes nipple to set firmly and accurately. Next, we need the wheel center, which we'll have drilled according to the wheel design. We like to use polished stainless center and spokes where possible in a polished wheel, so there is no possibility of rust and corrosion as can happen in time with chrome one unless cleaned fanatically. The wheel need to be drilled depending on the angle of the spokes, bottom, middle and top row. Setting up those angles correctly is key. So we'll test 2 or 3 holes and check the spokes line up perfectly before drilling the full row. Now we are happy, we can process to drill all holes in whole row. The drill itself has a special attachment we designed and made here, which makes sure that the holes are always drilled on the exact radius on the dimple. Without this, it is quite easy to not get it right and you can end up with a bend in a spoke. After drilling, the hole will be cut off, so we deburr the rim with a drill using a special drill bit. Then we take off anything remaining with a hand deburrer to give a good finish. Stage 5. Building the wheel. Each bare spokes come to us pre-polished or in carbon steel and is measured, bent to the right angle, then cut to correct length according to the offset of the wheel, which is checked at every stage of the build. Once the spokes are bent and cut, they can then be threaded. It is important to do this with a thread rolling machine because this produces a much stronger thread than one cut by the more common die cutting process. Now we have all the spokes cut and prepared, the assembly of the wheel can start. Row by row, the wheel is then built starting with the middle and working out. With all the spokes inserted to the correct pattern, we then put all the spokes in tension while checking the offset is still correct. Now we have the wheel built and all the spokes roughly tightened to the correct tension. The next stage is to throw the wheel, making them perfectly straight. This is done by putting the wheel on our special jig, which again we designed and made here. We now carefully tension each spoke whilst also making sure that offset of the rim is correct and also that the rim is running true to the hub. The dial gauge measures the trueness of the rim and this must be less than 1 mm overall on the new wheel, so we normally expect it to achieve less than half a millimeter. When the builder is satisfied, he then stamps the job number inside the rim and adds his own first initial afterward to confirm he has built and inspected the wheel. The wheel can then be packaged from dispatch. We developed our own special packaging for the relatively delicate alloy rim after 1 or 2 fairly shocking experiences. None of the carrier have managed to damage one since.